Oh, hey. Hi, everybody. We've got our fiddle faddle ready. And on Nerd
Fiddle
Champ.
faddle.
Well, yeah, it's beautiful. I mean,
This is
what's
so
going to
good. I
prison
might
for?
I might steal it if I didn't have the money for it.
Yeah, it's like 6 boxes. I mean, one box.
It's
will be
worth.
enough.
It's definitely worth going to jail over. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
about it.
absolutely. I'm going to brave the prison system. I'll be a cellmate with Bullseye. It doesn't matter,
Yeah,
But yeah.
doesn't matter at all, man.
So when the fiddle faddle's out on Nerd Side Champs, we are the Nerd Champs. That is Travis from With Travis. It's Daredevil Born Again time, and it's that time again, folks. We watched episode 8 on Tuesday. I would say the episode title, but I've forgotten it already. As I've forgotten so many. I wanted to take notes. I did not take notes. I was going to rewatch some scenes, but I thought the pain was too great. So I didn't do that either. But I just want, before we got a ton of comments to get through. Before we jump in there, though, I just want to take a walk down memory lane. Okay. Do you remember when the show started and it was a little slow, but we were enjoying these performances? And do you remember when there was this mysterious band of cops with do you remember even further back on Netflix when we had this really compelling, intriguing show with deep thoughts? But even just a few weeks ago, we were like, this is a little slow, but these performances are great. And we had these cops with these mysterious Punisher tattoos. We had this whole case going on with the white tiger. Yeah. You remember when an episode ended when a guy with his face totally in shadows with a Punisher suit on just walked up and capped the white tiger in the head, and we were like, oh my God, is that Frank? I wonder who that is. Man, what are all these dirty cops into? Why are they so secretive? What's their big secret? What kind of scheme are they running? Like all these thoughts in your head. And you remember when they had little Easter eggs of like Muse in the background and there was his murals everywhere, and you thought that was going to be a big deal? You remember all that, guys? That was some interesting stuff. But yeah, this episode opens with Bullseye in prison because that was the plot thread. That was the dangling plot thread. We were all just pins and needles wondering whatever happened to Bullseye, right? I mean, weren't you just like every week like, oh my God, what's going on with Bullseye? So I just needed to the episode opened, and I swear I wanted to just turn it back off. I was like, you got all these plates spinning and you're just not going to focus on one. You're not going to wrap any of that. You're just going to go back over to this one that already fell, pick it up off the floor. We're going to get into the comments. That I just had to go back and remind you what we thought was potential, but honestly, they couldn't get past the exposition on any of these storylines. They just had to set them up and go nowhere. So Jon Snow knows nothing. One, take a poll for the most frustrating line in the episode. A, Matt saying Leroy Bradford went to jail for stealing caramel corn, or B, Heather saying Daredevil didn't save me, I saved me. Oh my God. The memes. I saw at least 4 or 5 memes today of Daredevil didn't save me, I saved me. And I'm sorry, Jon Snow knows nothing is pretty dirty words in my mouth. That is not Heather. That is Mother Coral. And she shall henceforth only be referred to as Mother Coral. I will do my best when I'm reading the comments to remind myself not to repeat this. I will not slander it anymore. Her name is Mother Coral.
I can't believe you want to relive any semblance of the Acolyte as often as you can, Dan. I cannot believe that you want to do that. But I mean, look, they were both really dumb comments, and they were. I mean, and there was a plethora of really dumb dialogue in this episode that we'll probably end up getting to later. But yeah, I mean, if you're asking me to choose between the two, is there a and B option? I guess I don't know. I mean, is there one? Yeah, is there a C, A, and B option? Because I mean, they both are cataclysmically stupid for really different reasons. But I think that Matt knows that he didn't go to jail for stealing caramel corn. He went to jail because he got caught stealing while he was on probation with a very lengthy rap sheet. That's why he went to jail. Okay, I mean, he didn't go to jail for stealing caramel corn. And lest we forget, he went to jail for 10 days or something stupid, right? Yeah. I mean, it was like the plea bargain. The plea bargain that he got for that guy was absolutely ridiculous. All right, so that was an absolute. I mean, if that is your example of why the justice system doesn't work, you've totally failed in this show. If that's the example that you came up with, okay. And then Heather saying Daredevil didn't save me, I saved me. I think everybody that is a superhero fan was about to just come out of their chair at that moment. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be alive had it not been for Daredevil. Yes, you ended up shooting Muse, but you wouldn't have even had that opportunity if Daredevil didn't come in. I mean, the whole thing was just so dumb. I don't know what to think about it. And, I honestly think that this just shows that there are just underlying tones and motivations in the people who put this series together, and it just drives me nuts. So I don't know. Travis, what do you think?
Yeah. Why can't she be saved by a superhero? I mean, what's the big deal? But not to go too far back, but were you guys really in need or wanting Daredevil to have another love interest in the series? I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a weak plot thread anyway, all the way through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. They're really pushing it far with her. Maybe she's just experiencing some trauma. Maybe that's why she's saying this nonsense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very You shot the guy, but only because Daredevil was there saving you.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a therapist, she seems to not really have her mental state together a lot, and that's just something that's kind of an interesting take on this series. It's just like she's given couples counseling to the mayor, but she really does not have a really strong hold on her own mental health. It's kind of a weird thing.
We've got so many interesting characters. I mean, even from before in the Netflix, like, why do we need some of these newer characters thrown in anyway? I mean, maybe I don't remember that character from the comics. Maybe she was in there. I don't know.
She was a love interest of Daredevil. We touched on it a little bit last week. She kind of met her demise in Dan. How can I
want to do that?
Yeah, yeah. She met her demise. How can I say it in a way that won't get us canceled on YouTube, Dan? She did some very bad stuff to herself is the way I think I should say it. Okay. Yeah. And that's how that ended up. But
maybe they're using that to play into some of the mental health stuff. I feel like if we're gonna go with superheroes, we need a nicer and better picture of counselors and therapists and mental health in general.
Yeah.
This isn't a good look, really.
Now, if I have to pick which comment is more annoying, worse, more terrible, I think I'm going to pick my Fiddle Faddle Man because it's delivered by Matt, and I'm supposed to respect and like Matt, and I do respect and like Matt. But this is the second time I think, that Matt has had a wistful, speech about Fiddle Faddle Man going to prison. There is a flawed concept on top of everything else. The idea that he had to steal Fiddle Faddle because his food stamps wouldn't cover Fiddle Faddle shows you the degree of privilege that these writers that supposedly care about the little guy live in, because food stamps buy Fiddle Faddle, folks. Food stamps buy all kinds of crazy things. If you're behind these people at the grocery store, they will be buying more and better junk food than you could ever dream of. So, no, there is no restriction on caramel corn when you're on government assistance. So if he wanted some, he could have just saved up.
And each box, I think we mentioned this, Dan, each box is like $1.25, $1.35. Yeah. You know what I mean? The idea that you couldn't possibly scrounge together enough money, you could walk around New York City and find enough spare change in a half hour to go get a box of Fiddle Faddle. It's the dumbest thing imaginable. And the worst part in my mind is after that lengthy pontification that the Fiddle Faddle guy had, what was his name? Leroy Jon Snow said it. Leroy Bradford. Okay. Yeah. That the worst part about it is after Leroy Bradford gives that lengthy speech about why he had to steal the Fiddle Faddle, Matt looks right at him and says, "You're right." And I just cannot recover from that moment in this series that Matt believes that a guy violating his parole should not go to jail. It's the dumbest thing imaginable. Everybody that violates their parole goes to jail. It doesn't matter how little the crime is. Okay. Yeah. If you get caught doing something illegal and you are on parole and you have a lengthy rap sheet, they're going to send you to jail. It's so stupid. And he was so principled on not going to jail for 30 days. No, it's got to be less than 30 days. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. Right? What? You're not in the position to negotiate, man. I think of the Jim Carrey memes. Quit breaking the law. That's what I think of from Liar Liar. It's just like, quit breaking the law and you won't go to jail anymore, man. It's not that, go out there, get a job. Okay. Yeah. Dan and I were in the car business for a long time together. Every car lot will hire a felon. It does not matter. Okay.
No,
so
we don't care.
We know. Okay. There, you can get a job if you're looking for a job. And go out there, get a job, buy your own caramel corn, and you will never go to jail. All right. Yeah. You know why I'm snacking on Fiddle Faddle and I'm not on my way to jail right now? Because I paid for it. Okay. It's not that hard.
Mine was $1.25 at Dollar Tree.
Yep, me too. Dollar Tree.
They didn't have the good red box, but I got the butter toffee.
Hey, butter toffee, caramel corn. Fiddle Faddle is a fun treat. So we've had our felonious Fiddle Faddle fiasco with the Fiddle Faddle felon. And is what Mother Coral said monumentally stupid? I'll say this before I go on to the next comment. Yes, it was monumentally stupid, but Mother Coral was monumentally stupid. So totally in character. She has been nothing but awful for pretty much the whole series. I totally was it last week or the week before when she's like, you're going to lose everything important in your life. And very heavily hinting that meant her.
Her.
I was like, man, somebody really is very high on themselves. and I was out on Mother Coral from that moment forward. Let's see. Thug Dog. We are back to Bullseye. With it being baseball season, I guess we batted around and we are back at the top of the order. Yeah. So
great analogy, man. We've gone through all the villains. In the course of this season, we've gone through so many villains. We're just back to the top. It's back to Bullseye, right?
How would you guys have felt if Bullseye didn't show up at the beginning and we got him just in that scene at the end where he's trying to take people out?
Yeah, you know, the whole thing with Bullseye, I'm just over. I kind of, you know, the supposed twist at the end that they had where it was Vanessa and not Fisk that hired him or something, right? Yeah. And then he shows up at the party, but he tries to kill Fisk and not Vanessa, which is weird. And then, you know, and then once again we're just back to Bullseye, which I just think is just muddied and weird. This whole thing, whenever you have this many villains that you're kind of going on so many sides, there's a whole tree of stories that we're trying to follow. We had the Muse story, and we had the Dirty Cops story, and we had, you know, we had the, we have all the stuff going on with Fisk and the mayoral race and all that stuff and all the underlying politics and stuff with that. There's so many different things that trying to keep track of who the actual main antagonist of the show is supposed to be is very hard. I feel like occasionally they're not even really making Fisk a villain in certain points, which is really interesting and weird. So I don't know. And then there's the mob. The mob's a whole other thing. There's just so many different things that I'm just feeling like they're making it way too clouded because the plot is way too busy. This is Spider-Man 3. This is Falcon and Winter Soldier. When you have way too many villains and way too many plots and side stories, you know, people like linear stories. That's what people like about superhero movies for the most part. There's one villain, there's a hero, there's some kind of a tussle, some kind of a struggle. You know, there's a lot of building. The stakes get higher and higher as the movie goes on, and then all of a sudden at the end there's a fight and the hero prevails, and that's what we love about superhero stories. And this isn't taking that format. This is taking kind of a way different format. This is very similar to a lot of comic book story runs that they have kind of that circle plot where they start in one and they kind of go off on a lot of tangents and come right back to the other. And I don't like those runs myself. Those are usually like the 100-issue runs. I don't like those runs. I like the 4 to 6 issue runs that are just one story all the way through. So yeah.
Keeping it simple. Keeping it simple is always best. I feel like Marvel has, and not every show. I know you guys have mentioned WandaVision and Loki. Those were, I think, good shows. But so many times I think Marvel has failed with their series because they can't figure that out, Tim. Like they can't figure out what story they want to tell, and so they're telling all of these little stories, thinking, well, we've got 8-9 episodes. Why can't we tell all these stories? Or why can't we do this thing too to connect it to that thing? You know, and tell some story in season 2 or season 3, and we don't necessarily need all the build up. We just want a good story, and linear is and simple sometimes are better.
Yeah,
and I think go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this is a writer's room with a severe case of FOMO. they had fear. Like my son, when he was like 7, and we took him out to eat, you know, he's ordering off the kids menu, and it's like, do you want the cheeseburger or the chicken strips? And he's like, yes. You know,
all of it.
And like it was excruciating for him to make that decision because he was afraid once he made it that he would have wanted the other thing, and he's gonna. And I feel like this writer's room is like, should we do the White Tiger story or the Corrupt Cop story or the Muse story or the Bullseye's revenge story? And they were just like,
yes,
yes,
all of it. Buffet.
Like, we will put the chicken fingers on top of the cheeseburger, and that'll be awesome, right?
With the French fries.
Yeah, I just feel I feel like these stories are just and the same thing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier when they did it. I kind of feel like they're really trying to just cram it all in, like Travis was talking about. It's really funny when we were Dan and I did a review on Jonathan's channel at Comic Book Cinema about Creature Commandos, and I think that we kind of fell into the category that we really liked it because it was pretty simple, and every second mattered. The episodes were only 24, 25 minutes. I mean, in every single second was something that was really important. And the stories were very, very simple. Each kind of character had their own episode to kind of focus on them, and it still tied into the greater story. And even though there were side villains, they didn't feel near as forced or near as disconnected as these ones do. I feel like Disney they're trying to do the right thing, but they're doing it in such a wrong way. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to do kind of that same thing that ended up happening with Creature Commandos, but it's just not working. I think part of it might be the disjointed story, the fact that it was torn apart and put back together and added stuff in, and that's probably part of it. But yeah, ultimately it's just not working. And and it's a shame because I Charlie Cox doesn't have long left as Daredevil, folks. He's been playing this character for 10 years. So it's really a shame that this series is probably not going to make it.
It's
in the even cartoon world, but also in the anime world, when you've got 20, 30 episodes, especially in the 90s cartoons and stuff, you got a lot of those side quest episodes. And like you said, with the villains that may come in and out and they're just in one episode, then they come back later. And that was okay because you had so many episodes and you could tell so many stories. But we're in the era now, and I think maybe it's our attention span, and we don't want to watch so much all the time. And we're going to go on to the next thing, but we're not in that era anymore where you can tell a story so long and have all these side quests and these side plots and it be okay and work out in the end. You've really got to use your time wisely, and I think they've not done well with that all the time.
Yeah, I don't understand how a series with so many stories happening at the same time could still feel so slow. Like how did we manage to feel so slow?
Did we get the suit this week, Dan? We didn't, did we?
The suit?
We didn't get the suit.
Expecting it.
We didn't get the suit.
We didn't get it.
No, we
have one episode left.
Yeah, I think we've got like 2 episodes with the suit, right?
Okay.
Or 3, 2 or 3? No, 3 episodes with the suit, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's called Daredevil Born Again, so you got to go through all the labor pains before he's born again. I guess
Yeah, I mean, what did they call the WWF stuffed figures that you would beat up in your room? What were they called?
Oh, the wrestling buddies.
The wrestling buddies. So we did get 2 episodes in a row of Daredevil in his suit, just wiping the floor with Muse like a WWF wrestling buddy, and just knocking him around like a bag doll. Found him in 5 minutes both times. He decided to look for him. Kicked him from here to Tucson.
Right.
You got that little backstory with him, like being in karate and stuff, but it didn't help.
We gotta take a pause, guys. Which wrestling buddy did you have? I had Ultimate Warrior. Which wrestling buddy did you have?
I'm not that cool. I didn't have a wrestling buddy.
Oh, Travis. What?
So when you
get off our show right now,
I had Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I did beat up on him.
Okay, all right.
Like, did you ever beat up your regular pillow and pretend it was a wrestler?
I usually use my pillow to beat up on my little brother.
Okay. He didn't need a wrestling buddy. He had a brother. To beat
I had 2 brothers. They were good enough.
Yeah. You asked your parents, like, "Hey, can I have a wrestling buddy?" And it's like, we gave you a little brother.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. I didn't have a brother. Worked out great. There you go.
Yeah. If Bullseye is self-regenerating, why did they have to take him to get stitched up? The man just healed from falling off like an 8-story building, and the cops know this. I
got to get him out somehow,
Yeah. That first episode, and nowhere in comic canon does Bullseye have a healing factor.
Never.
It's not. But like, he fell, and like he was getting up in that scene.
Yeah, it wasn't like it. I mean, it looked like Wolverine, where it's like his bones go back into place and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was like
Nebula.
It was like Nebula. That kind of like that's kind of what it looked like. It wasn't like a guy that was like, oh, I just fell off a building head first. It was a guy that, like, which is crazy enough. But this is like, like legitimately a guy that looked like he was healing. And then he stood up, and then we saw him in court, and he was just right as rain. He wasn't in a brace. He wasn't, he was just, he was just in standard restraints. So I don't know. The whole thing was really weird. Yeah, you would think if he's self-regenerating, they would have known that. They would have just been like, he'll be fine. But no, they take him to get stitched up, and they leave him in there isolated for whatever reason with a bunch of sharp objects. Kind of seems a little silly, but yeah.
They didn't read his case file, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, he may not be self-regenerating. We have established that in the universe of Daredevil Born Again, your average human being could take way more punishment than any human being alive.
And we're gonna get to that with Matt in a second. So
yeah. But you could drop cops right on their head. Their neck can make a giant snapping sound. They're just gonna be up walking around in the next episode. Basically, yeah. Unless you're shot point blank in the head or pushed in front of a moving subway train. Yeah, you're gonna be fine. Those are the only two things that can kill you.
Like Matt just got shot in the shoulder, right? And it was supposed to be a really tense moment, but it's like that's not even like the 12th most lethal thing that people have lived through in this series so far. So I don't know how it was supposed. I mean, maybe it's going to be a tense moment because it's like, oh, his shoulder is like shattered. How's he going to recover? And become Daredevil again? But it really, people just don't. They don't have normal mortality in this show. It's weird. It's weird.
I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to look at him and see if he still got that tooth next time that he spit and killed somebody with. Because maybe he grows them back. Maybe he's like a lizard. I don't know.
Yeah. And Adam's another one. I'm glad this comment. Adam's another one. Didn't he get beat in the head like a million times from the Kingpin?
Yeah,
a guy who's we all know his punch is a lethal punch, right? I mean, it did not look like something a normal person would live through, but he did, and then Vanessa killed him. So.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, he could have at least had a black eye or a swollen lip or a broken nose, but he just had the disheveled, castaway beard and hair, and that was it. And the Vanessa, again, this was Barry Allen did not care for Vanessa finding and killing Adam. This was one of the first parts of this episode, and it happened throughout the episode. It's been happening throughout the series. The characters all just do things because the plot needs them to do these things. You don't understand any of it from a character perspective. Like from a character perspective, from Vanessa's point of view, she has told Wilson not to harm Adam. She acted like she cared. Like in that moment with the gun, why did she choose to do that? It doesn't make any sense. Why did Matt go to the prison to ask Bullseye who hired him? Why would Matt believe anything Bullseye told him? Like, why would he accept Bullseye's answer? I mean, I know he could tell when people are lying, but Bullseye's a sociopath. He's not going to get a fast heart rate when he's lying. He doesn't care, So, and then why does Bullseye? Vanessa hired him. Vanessa double-crossed him. Vanessa's the one who set all this in motion, and yet he breaks into this thing to shoot
and
Wilson.
Shoots at Fisk.
He shoots at Fisk. So, like, nobody's doing anything that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I mean, maybe it'll all come together in episode 9. I don't think it can. I just don't think it can.
I mean, Matt stopped making sense when he hung out with She-Hulk. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, in the Netflix show, Fisk seems so much more manipulative and sinister. They've almost taken a sympathetic angle with this series. I told Tim earlier, I am rooting for Fisk more than Matt.
Yeah, I think they want people to. Like I do, like the writers, I do. I think they want people to. I agree with
Daredevil, the bad guy.
Yeah, they're essentially making him. It's like he and Matt don't get along, but he's just a guy that was a businessman and doing his own thing, and then Daredevil, he's got his own crusade about whether or not people should do it, and there's just so many underlying political things here that relate to modern day America that just you can tell there are people that are 1000% on board with that kind of politics at the moment, and they're trying to make him a relatable character. That's what they're trying to do. So I don't know. I feel like it's a very interesting angle because the Kingpin is very much a villain in the books, and he's very much a villain in the Netflix series. I just don't get it.
And 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
90s Spider-Man where he looked like he was like 600 pounds. That was amazing. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. Fisk, again, like he's beating the crap out of Adam. Adam's fine this week. He's being outmaneuvered by his wife. She seems like 3 steps ahead of him at every turn. he should not be on the back foot. He should be the master manipulator. He should be playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers, and that's not what's happening this season.
That's exactly the problem. I feel like Fisk. Do you remember like the first like 3 episodes of the Netflix series? The guy wouldn't even say his name. Do you remember that? Like it was like my employer. The Wesley guy. He was like, my employer says this, and Fisk, you didn't even see him. Remember, for like the first few episodes, there was so much buildup. Now he's the mayor. He's out in public all the time. He's making statements. He's going to therapy. He's doing all kinds of. It's way too much of a character that had so much mystery initially, and that's kind of the problem. That now that mystery is gone and they've pulled the curtain back, he's just a guy, and it's weird.
I think they had a lot of success with Thanos, and even though Thanos was evil and the big bad, he had that sympathetic. He had that I'm doing this for a good reason.
Yeah,
and I feel like now Marvel is going to try to attach that to a lot of their villains, and we don't need that from Kingpin.
No.
Yeah, that only works when there's stakes. There's no stakes in this series.
Yeah,
none at all. What are the stakes in this series?
Why do
They're
we
very
have to
local.
stop the Kingpin?
Just the beef ones, just the beef stakes.
Yeah. Why do we need to stop the Kingpin? Is it that important that he doesn't complete his dock project? It's his sinister plan to revitalize the docks. We must stop him. We cannot have rebuilt docks. It's not okay. Dog saw a meme today of Fisk saying Matt ruined my new white suit in front of Vanessa.
Episode
seeing
Kingpin in a white suit. I mean, that just
again
90s Spider-Man animated suit, like that was nice.
Yeah. That's another thing. This show, we listed off the myriad storylines that are going on with the cops and the White Tiger and the Muse and the Fisk and the Bullseye. Buried in that, we wasted half an episode or more on Fiddle Faddle Man. We had a whole episode about a bank heist that had nothing to do with anything. And in this episode, we had Fisk in the white suit having his second super long, weird conversation with the swordsman.
Oh yeah, the swordsman. We didn't even bring up the swordsman last time. Yeah.
Why do we need these swordsman interludes? What are we doing here?
It's Disney Plus is going to give us a show on the swordsman next. That's what they're doing.
They are. Yeah, they're going to give us a swordsman, the swordsman is going to show up in the Thunderbolts or something stupid. You're right, Travis. It's going to happen. You're right. There's going to be a tie-in somewhere. That's exactly what's going to happen.
We're going to get our Kamala Khan and Daredevil team up at some point.
Oh man!
I'll tell you the truth. Honestly, a few weeks ago, I defended episode 5 because it told a contained linear story that I enjoyed, the bank heist. But in retrospect, I still think watching that episode by itself is good. You can watch it. It begins, it ends. You don't even have to watch the whole rest of the series, and it would be fine. It could be like it could have been a pilot.
I think it could have been one of those specials like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas time.
But planted in the middle of this series, it was the wrong move because they've got so many stories they're trying to tell, and they're not
wasted time.
They're not finishing any of them. And now it really does feel like they're just shoehorning stuff in. The White Tiger storyline is just there so you can introduce the niece to be the Young Avengers. White Tiger. That's why the whole story was there. The bank episode, even though I enjoyed it, the only reason it's there is to mention, hey, everybody, go watch Miss Marvel. That was pretty good. Look how funny her dad is. This is all the swordsman is there because people are like, hey, remember Hawkeye? If you haven't watched Hawkeye, you should give that a shot. And again, I think Disney, knowing that the Netflix series was a huge hit, knowing that people had good feelings about the Netflix series, expect it to have much higher viewership for this show, and so they jammed it with enough cameos and plugs and other things from other shows because they thought they were going to bring new viewers in, and new viewers were going to be like, who's swordsman? Oh, I should watch Hawkeye. They're getting no new viewers.
Yeah, and not only are they getting no new viewers, but the viewers that they do have are kind of getting sidetracked, bored. They're turning the TV off because it's just not adding up. And it's like you said, Dan, with episode 5, that's an entire episode that they wasted that could have been building the Muse story. It could have been building the Muse story so it wasn't introduced and wasted as quickly as it was. That was, 45, 50 minutes that they just completely dropped and wasted. And it didn't need to be that way. That's kind of the worst part about it. It's like all with this idea that Matt kind of gets reborn as Daredevil and gets introduced to Kamala's dad. And that was really the only point of the episode. You didn't need to have a whole episode dedicated to that. that could have been something that took place in like a 5-minute intro of one of the episodes or something. But that's a whole wasted opportunity. The reason that nobody is going to care about the Muse story in this is because, number one, it bolsters the stupidest storyline in the entire thing, which is his relationship with Heather. And number two, it was just completely wasted. It came and it gone. It was a breath in the wind. It was gone. And so now what are we going to do? I mean, Muse, it's like it never happened. It's like it didn't exist. It's kind of, it's not dissimilar to what happened with Two-Face in The Dark Knight, right? I mean, it was very, very quick. And you're like, that's all the Two-Face we're ever going to get. And yeah, that was it. So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what happened here. And, I know a lot of people say don't speak evil of The Dark Knight, but there were some mistakes that were made, and that was one of them. And it's the same thing here. Muse could have been a cool and interesting story. Instead, we had to have a bank heist episode that burned up a whole bunch of time.
Yeah, because I would contend, and I have spoke very ill of both Muse episodes. Every scene with Muse in it, all of it, both of those episodes, taken on their own, like all of the material was good. The only problem with the Muse story was pacing. The beginning of what was it, episode 5, or was it 6? Was the bank heist 5?
The bank heist was 5.
The beginning of 6, when they discover that the murals are blood, and he's mocking Fisk, and Fisk is putting together his task force to find him, and Matt is thinking about finding it. All of that was good. It was good setup. I was building the tension, but it all just fell apart when Matt found him with like in 5 minutes of searching for him and took him out for what I thought was good. But again, nobody gets taken out in the show. You could string a guy up and choke him on a chain, but somehow he gets away, even though you didn't see that happen.
I'm wondering if Adam is still alive. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah.
Hey, Kingpin already got shot, dead on. In another...
Getting shot in the face. In the face, he got shot.
In the face.
So,
it was, I don't know. It just, if they'd have spread that out across 4 or 5 episodes, a cat and mouse, and he's trying to find him, and you get a little bit more. Like his first session that we saw with Mother Coral was the one where he lost his crap and tried to kill her. We were getting couples therapy with Fisk. We were not getting him talking to her, So I don't know.
There's a lot of wasted exposition that could have been used for Muse or for other things early on.
Yeah. So, and we could have left Muse out, and then we would know who the Punisher guy is who shot White Tiger, or what the dirty cops are doing. So I don't know. Jon Snow knows nothing one. Now that we see the angles they have taken with reshoots and rewrites, what could they have done to make it better? Well, I'll let you guys go first.
I mean, I'll just say it. Just they should have scrapped this entire idea, let it sit, and put an actual story together instead of trying to take fractions and pieces and fragments of what they had already done that wasn't working and insert the Netflix characters and kind of insert a different story. They should have just torn it down and started base level. I know they didn't want to do that because of how much they already had filmed, but that's why this whole thing is a jumbled mess. They didn't just tear it down and start over. Yes, it would have pushed production back 2-3 years. But you needed to do that in order to get the story that you deserve out of this character. You're wasting 2 fabulous actors in the MCU because of this. You're wasting Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, and that's not something that's forgivable if you're Disney. You totally missed it. You swung and you missed. And this is something that if I was either one of those actors, I would be supremely frustrated that this is the product that they ended up putting out.
Yeah,
Travis, what would you do?
I'm having like some flashbacks to the Star Wars trilogy that came out last. Like this is what it's almost like we've got too many people at the writing board, and they've all got their different stories they want to go with.
Yeah,
and it's not giving us something cohesive. It would have been good to scrap it and go. And I think even heyday Disney before they got Marvel and Pixar, I think they took that time. But it's now, and especially with the MCU, I think we've got to release this many shows in a year and this many movies in a year, and we've got to meet our quota. And when you start thinking like that, then it's gonna mess up your story. You're gonna get stuff that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've been pounding on it kind of already. For me, to make it better, it's really simple. They could have picked any one of the 5 or 6 stories that are going on this season and made the whole season about one of those.
Yep.
And it would have been, they could have picked 2. They could have had Wilson Fisk being mayor, running in the background, not really interacting with Matt that much, and then
have the Muse story, and that would have been great.
Muse story, have the White Tiger story, have the Dirty Cop story. Pick one.
Yeah,
pick
one.
Pick whichever one you want. you know, and run it
Bullseye.
through.
Yeah.
Bullseye. Space it out. Just pick one, but you can't do them all. You just can't.
I think we could have been really happy if they didn't give us this Daredevil's retired now. Just let him still be Daredevil. And let Fisk become mayor. Like we want to see the suit.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, he was getting the suit in She-Hulk, right? Not to bring up She-Hulk, but like he was going to the lady that made the costumes to get a like what's happening?
Yeah. He hadn't.
He was wearing it then. He helped She-Hulk.
Yeah, because the continuity is so busted because this show acts like he has stopped being Daredevil very shortly after season 3. It seems like he's been away from being Daredevil for as long as Fisk has been away from being the Kingpin. They still haven't, but we know that's not true because he was Daredeviling out on the West Coast with She-Hulk in his yellow and red suit, like, a year ago. And we still don't know how Fisk got from being incarcerated at the end of season 3 to being out of prison, reformed, and able to run for mayor. I mean, none of it, but
you didn't watch Echo, Dan. Okay. You didn't watch Echo. So,
well, how did he get out of prison? Did they break
No,
that
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. They didn't explain that either. But they didn't explain how he miraculously healed from his bullet to the head. They just kind of said that he did. So it was a very interesting thing. So yeah.
Him and Bullseye are taking the same super soldier serum, I guess. So.
If the head trauma that we've seen in Born Again is not fatal, then shots to the head probably not either. I mean, these people have skulls that are at least 3 inches thick.
Yeah, apparently everyone in New York.
Yeah,
Wolverine did it better back in the day, though.
Yeah,
that's right.
I hate this show more than Vanessa hates her marriage. Now that's a lot of hate because Vanessa seems to really just not be into this whole thing.
She hates her. Yeah, she's totally the beard, man. She hates this marriage. She hates it. You can just tell.
She's giving strong Hillary Clinton vibes. Don't you get the
very much Hillary Clinton, all the way down to killing all of her enemies. It's great. She definitely gives all the Hillary Clinton vibes. There's no doubt about it. So
Adam is the Madoff, right? That's how this works now.
YouTube's gonna come hard for us, Dan. They're gonna oh gosh. All right.
Okay. I know they made Bullseye do some crazy stuff in the comics, but a tooth bullet shot at a lethal velocity from his mouth is a little extreme for the limits in place for this series. Now, I will say it's been all over the Facebook. I don't remember the issue, but that whole sequence is lifted directly from a Daredevil comic book.
Yeah, look,
gets knocked out and he spits it into a dude's eye. That happened in a Daredevil comic.
It doesn't mean that it made sense then either. I think that's the thing that people need to see. I don't care how good you are at like shooting or throwing or doing it. If it's not at what would typically be a lethal velocity, I don't know how it would be beneficial. But I get it. It was in a comic, you know what I mean? And he does some crazy stuff in the comics. He uses some outrageous stuff as weapons that end up working that shouldn't work. But once again, there is some stuff to indicate in the series so far that he does have a kind of supernatural quality. So it's entirely possible that there's part of that involved as well. So
we've moved past the era of them explaining things.
That's right. We really have.
Where did White Tiger get that medallion from? Like,
yeah. What does the medallion do? What are White Tiger's powers? How did he have such a successful career as a vigilante when all it takes to kill him is to walk sort of kind of quietly up behind him and shoot him in the head?
Yeah. They just do the zombie thing on him and he's dead.
Yeah. The parade of people testifying on his behalf on all the times he saved and all the things, it should have been like 2 people. Because, if that was the height of his skills as a vigilante, to just walk down the street in a bright white I'm a crime buster costume in the middle of the night and let somebody sneak up on him and shoot him in the head, his vigilante career should have lasted one evening. But whatever.
But everyone is talking about White Tiger as opposed to Spider-Man. Like, we're in New York, but Spider-Man's not a vigilante. Like,
no, Fisk did mention him.
Fisk did get a mention, but like, I feel like he'd be a pretty big target. But I don't know.
I do feel like Spider-Man should have had a work in, and I know they're fighting with Sony at the moment, so that's probably part of it, but it would have been really nice for them to have a Spider-Man tie-in, because honestly, when the Avengers ended after Endgame, the idea was to hand the mantle over to Tom Holland, and Spider-Man was going to be the foundation for the new universe. Well, then a whole bunch of stuff hit the fan with Sony, and now they're kind of going back and forth as to whether or not they're going to as to whether or not he's going to be a big part of it or another side character. Disney just can't get everything together, and it's making big because in a series like this, it would have been so much. You would have doubled, tripled your viewership if people knew that Spider-Man had an integral part of the plot. You know what I mean?
And the viewership, I feel like it's aimed at our generation, which grew up Kingpin, Daredevil, Spider-Man. That kind of
absolutely. I mean, they would have doubled, tripled their viewership easily if they just said Spider-Man might sort of almost be in the series, but they didn't even do that.
Well, and I think that the TV rights are held separate than the film rights.
I thought, Disney could do that because that's why I've got all the
D'Onofrio, he's been asked if he's going to appear in any of the movies, and he has flat out stated that, to his understanding, he can't be in any. He
can't. Yeah,
because Sony, because Kingpin was initially a Spider-Man villain, so Kingpin is in that weird ersatz area that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver was in, like where when Fox had the X-Men, they had to make up a new origin and do some weird things with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver because they were kind of dual rights X-Men Avengers characters. Kingpin, you can argue that he's a Daredevil character, but he was introduced as a Spider-Man villain, and so Sony can make a strong case that he's theirs for any film appearance.
Film rights,
yeah. I mean, Kingpin was in the first Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie, so I think they have the film. So,
did you guys watch Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man?
No, I did not. No,
so Charlie Cox. Spoiler alert: Charlie Cox makes an appearance as Daredevil.
Voiced the Daredevil. Yeah, I heard that he voiced Daredevil.
Yeah.
But Kingpin doesn't.
But it's too much.
I don't believe
they're doing too much with it because, from what I understand, it's not the same timeline. It's not the cinematic universe where this is taking place.
The cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's a completely different universe. Yeah,
so it's a completely different universe. Why are you bothering?
Why are you using Charlie Cox?
Yeah, well, why even do that? You're just trying to muddy the water.
Well, something that Disney's done over the last several years is they've kind of used these side animated shows that from other universes to kind of test the waters on some of the changes that they've been thinking about making in the MCU to kind of see what the response will be. And I know in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, they have done a lot of swapping of characters. That's something that they're kind of testing the waters with. What's the response? What will the response be if we do this? They also did it in Spidey and His Amazing Friends. My kids were actually into that show for a minute, and I know that Doc Ock was a woman, and so was Electro, and so they're really trying stuff out because they're really trying to see, I think, where can we come away with a swap, because a lot of these characters, quite frankly, if they're going to be in the MCU, they're not going to be white men. That's just all there is to it. And they need to find kind of a test audience. What will their response be? So that's why they're doing something.
That was very true for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Race and gender swapped, mostly villains. But they also took Spider-Man's kind of core like friendship group, and outside of Harry, he's got some other characters from various parts of the Marvel comics that are in there. And I don't know. I miss Flash Thompson. I miss those classic guys.
But But in the Daredevil, how many opportunities have they missed to just mention Daily Bugle? I mean, how many times are they throwing newspapers around and
blogs and all kinds of stuff? Yeah. BB Report.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Like, is the Examiner like a real newspaper? The New York Examiner? That's what he was holding up this week. I thought there was the Post and the Times. Those are the big real ones. So if you're going to make one up, use the Daily Bugle. And how cool would it be to have J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson? Because he would be loving the Kingpin as mayor right now because he hates the last vigilante. He would love Kingpin.
Oh, yeah.
And with the guy, I don't remember his name, that is connected with the BB girl that works for the mayor. I can't remember his name.
Oh, no. You're talking about, no, I'm sorry. You're talking about.
He kind of came out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
We didn't need him. I don't feel like he really adds anything to the story. And if you removed him, you could do it a lot more with Muse or anything else. Like, I don't get
power structure with his power struggle with the black lady that is the other assistant who always tells
there's that power dynamic.
Can't do the thing that he wants to do, and
Kingpin's gonna kill him.
I guess they're playing like the devil.
I will be shocked.
Angel on the other shoulder with them.
I will be shocked if he lives through the next episode. I'll be shocked if he lives through the next episode.
He's starting to annoy me really bad. So
more toxic relationship: Fisk and Vanessa, or Matt and Heather.
I mean, Fisk and Vanessa, like, they're literally running the mob. I think I've got to go with Fisk and Vanessa, but I mean, Matt and Heather probably, are not ideal for each other either. So
Heather's a stand-in for his lost love, for Elektra and Karen who moved away and and all that, because she ain't all that great. Thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, if I had to
wanted
vote,
that interview with Daredevil and then deny that he said, I don't know.
No, one episode, like Vanessa wants to interview. She wants to be introduced to the Punisher because she wants to get into the mind of the Punisher. Then she gets saved by Daredevil, and she's like, these guys are all toxic with their toxic masculinity and their bravado and their violence.
I saved me.
Children playing. I saved myself. He just got there too early. I was about to talk him down. I would have said that I did say.
I had complete control.
I want everybody to know.
Yeah, that's right.
I had that situation under wraps.
Maybe she's just mad because the Fisk's police force got all the credit. Maybe she's mad about it.
Yeah, that's what she's mad about. Not just about Daredevil. How dare that task force get the credit? I did it.
Y'all didn't do it. I did it.
Okay, so the big twist is that Vanessa hired Bullseye to kill Foggy, not Fisk. Because why? There's so many things happening in this show that I think we're supposed to understand, but okay, Foggy was about to win his case. Matt figured that out. Yeah. Matt figured that out because he was drinking the celebratory whiskey the night before that he got killed. What was the case? What was the case about? Who was the guy who double crossed him? How does that relate to anything? We don't know. Matt had his big meltdown at his office this week because their client was lying about stealing some money. Did you guys know what was going on with that case? Do you guys know? Were we supposed to know? I was lost.
You're not supposed to. The whole thing there, okay? The whole thing there was a microwave effort to get Matt to just explode about how the justice system is corrupt. That's all it was. Now look, this is a thing. Then it goes into the fiddle faddle. But this is a thing in the comics that Matt struggles with, right? Matt does go back and forth. I'm not making a difference in the courtroom, so I've got to put the mask on and do it myself. That's the whole point of what happens in the comic books. But what I think they're failing to capture here is the cases that Matt is upset about in the comic books are not caramel corn and a guy that is getting some dirty money. That's not the cases that upset Matt. The cases that upset Matt are Fisk getting away with murder constantly, or all kinds of other mobsters that end up walking, or drug dealers that end up walking, or people that end up getting kids killed in their negligence and all this kind of stuff that don't end up going to jail. There's all kinds of storylines where Matt actually has a legitimate claim that the justice system failed in this instance. But the instances they're bringing up in this show are the dumbest possible cases. They're the dumbest possible cases to try to make that claim, and it's just not landing. It's not working.
And he made it through the justice system with the White Tiger, and all that worked out. And you can't start it with it's all works. Oh, what? No, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's so many things just get left hanging. The police, we had this whole secretive, nefarious band of police that were loosely connected, and they had their Punisher tattoos, and there was something we didn't know or understand, right? Like they were doing something dirty. This episode, these cops are sticking guys' hands in burning oil because
the commissioner was right there.
Yeah, there's no press. Right there. He's a reporter who snuck in and took a picture. I had to watch it back today because I couldn't believe that that's what it was. So, right in front of the commissioner, these guys take a reporter and burn his hand in boiling oil, and supposedly he can't do anything about it. Because, he is being blackmailed by the mayor, so maybe they do have free reign. Because what are they going to do? Expose that kid or kill that kid? I can't remember, but Fisk threatened that kid. So, but still, Fisk magically, somehow, independently, goes through the police files. And are we to believe that every one of this cadre of police that we saw in the courtroom during the White Tiger thing, with all associated with their tattoos and stuff, did Fisk randomly manage to pick every one of them and now they're on his task force? And are we going to find out what their secret nefarious activity is? Or is it honest? Are they honestly trying to tell us that their secret nefarious activity is just that they're overzealous cops who use excessive force?
Well, and I feel like I feel like this is a big thing that they're going to try to roll into the Punisher show. I think that's what they're really trying to do, is that the Punisher special that we know is already slated. It's going to be Frank against all these dirty cops. That's what it's going to be. And they're kind of trying to plant the idea that it's there, but what they're doing is not making a lot of sense at the moment. And I don't think that it's anything. And not only are what they doing makes no sense, what the police are doing makes no sense. What the police commissioner has seen, what all these other people have seen. North is another one that's just like, you're just like North is a guy that struggles back and forth between the politics of it all in the comics, but the stuff that he's seen, and the stuff that Fisk told him in the last episode. Oh, no, he wasn't here. It was the task force, right? It was just ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't have any hope that they're going to tie all the knots together and connect all the dots before the end of the series.
So Empty Blank Blanket says Fisk had their files and created a task force with the corrupt officers. So yeah, he did have the files, but okay, is there only one sect of corrupt officers? And are we going to figure out what their corruption is? What is the corruption?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing. Okay. So he had their files and he created the task force based on the files that he had. But what formed the group to begin with? What is their cause? What is their purpose? And that's not anything that they've gone into. I know they go into it a little bit more in length in the comics than they did in the series here. But in the series, they've kind of introduced it as this very vague thing. It's very, very vague right now.
Well, it started at the beginning of the series. You felt like they were doing something secret and nefarious. They were hiding something. They were running drugs, selling guns. They were doing something bad.
That's why they were beating up a CI on the subway platform, right? I mean,
why they couldn't identify themselves as cops when a guy asks why they're in a fight with this guy. Something bad is going on. But somewhere along the line, now you're getting the impression that they're not. The only thing corrupt that they are is that they use excessive force. They're basically a whole task force of Harry Callahans. They're all Dirty Harry, and you've got like 15, 20 Dirty Harrys. And they all work for the Kingpin somehow. And like, I'm taking 15 Harry Callahans against Daredevil every day. I don't care. I've seen all the Dirty Harry movies, and Clint Eastwood's a bad mother. So I don't. But are they doing something nefarious, or were they just like not dirty cops, but bad cops in that they do excessive things? That's two different kinds of bad cop. I don't know. I don't. Cops bad is all they seem to represent.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much nailed it.
It's very vague. Yeah, it's very, very vague. They just want us to know cops bad. Cops bad.
Cops bad. The commissioner.
I feel bad about whoever's going to get French fries out of that deep fryer.
Yeah, that's going to have an odd flavor, isn't it? That's going to
be. That gives all new meaning to chicken fingers.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! So I did want to. Like, I think we've gotten. Okay, well, hold on. We got one episode. We have one episode left in Daredevil Born Again. What are our hopes that any of these storylines are going to be resolved with information that makes it make sense? Like, if you think one of them will be resolved, which one? Or do you think they will just introduce a whole nother one next week? What do we think is going to happen?
I don't think they're going to finish up any of them. And I think it's all because they're setting up these other shows, like Tim mentioned with Punisher. I don't think we're going to see Daredevil become Daredevil again. And it just all feels like rehash because we've already seen Daredevil become Daredevil and we didn't need to see him become Daredevil again.
Yeah. I mean, is he going to recover from that wound in the space of one episode and be back in the suit? I don't know. Tim, do you think they're going to resolve?
You're making a really big assumption that he was wounded there, Dan. I know you saw the blood and the bullet. But you're making a really big assumption. This is Disney Plus. Lightsabers are not lethal. Bullets are not lethal. Falling off of buildings head first, that is not lethal. So you're making a big assumption there, Dan.
Yeah, but let me tell you, 2025 elves just recovered from being gut stabbed in no time at all.
Absolutely, and fell off 1,000-foot cliffs. That's right. So, but the one thing I would say is there's two ways that this could go. There's the way that I want it to go, and there's the way I think it's going to go. The way that I would like it to go is Red Wedding Game of Thrones. Okay. Kill absolutely everybody. All right. I want to see Heather dead. I want to see Vanessa dead. I want to see I want to see Bullseye dead. I want to see everybody dead. Okay. And the reason for that is because then you actually do have the foundation to tear down and build up something that might be better. Okay. Basically at that point, it's like, forget all that stuff. All those people are dead anyway. Now let's tell a real story. Okay. So that's kind of the way I want it to go. The way I think it will go is I think we're going to see some kind of a lame thing between Daredevil and Bullseye that is long and drawn out, very much like we saw in the season 3 of the Netflix series, very much like we saw right here at the very beginning of this series. I think it's going to be a long drawn out thing with Bullseye. It'll be a little cat and mouse. You'll think Bullseye is going to win for a minute, and ultimately, I think that Daredevil prevails and everybody stays alive, and we're stuck with this terrible continuity. That's what I think is going to happen. So, anyway,
I think that the fiddle faddle Phelan will return and claim his rightful place as the big bad of the whole season, because we all know all big bads.
That's right.
Believe they're the true hero, and the fiddle faddle Phelan will let us know. And I see there's some people out there. We're gonna move. I'm gonna talk on a couple little things. If you want to, in the comments, let us know what's your favorite flavor of fiddle faddle, and are you a fiddle faddle fan? Are you a fiddle faddle fanatic, or do you prefer Crunch and Munch? Do you prefer Crunch and Munch? See, fiddle faddle wins just because alliteration is fun, kids. Alliteration is fun, and Stan would tell you so. Not, you know what Stan I'm talking about. Anyway. I do have to touch on just one thing that just cracked me up. So Marvel, fresh off of 2 weeks ago, making us all, not us, I didn't do it, but a lot of people did, sit for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 48, 72 hours. I don't know how long it was that they spaced out these chairs. Every 4 or 5 hours, you would get another name on the back of the chair. But, 1 week removed from that, Marvel's YouTube channel gifted us all with this wonderful video. We had Wolverine breathing exercise.
Yeah.
8.5 hours of Hugh Jackman breathing heavily. And I know, ladies, you think it sounds exciting, but it's not.
It is not.
No. Hey, every couple hours, hour and a half or whatever, if you read through the comments, you'll find the timestamps. You do get that. You do get that every few hours. I think it happens 5 times, maybe in the 8 hours, maybe 6. So, if you got 8.5 hours to kill staring at a YouTube screen to see Hugh Jackman recreate another cover, then I have the day for you. I have a day well spent lined up for you right here.
I love Frank Miller, but that's one of the most overrated covers of all time. I love Frank Miller. I do, love him to death. That is one of the most overrated and cringy covers of all time. I'll say it. Go ahead and hate me in the comments. I don't care. All right.
I want to get to the point in my life where someone pays me to do this. That's where I want to be in life.
Yeah. I really do feel that Marvel has made it to the point they're like, you know what? A lot of these movies have been pretty bad. And a lot of these shows have been pretty bad. But you know what? There's like a lot of people that they stick around and claim it's all good. Let's test the limits. Let's see how far we could go. Let's give them 8.5 hours of Hugh Jackman breathing. Let's see if they watch it and say it's fun. They're sitting in the office laughing, like hundreds of thousands of views, and they're like, "Look at that!"
He's sitting there breathing for almost as long as this entire season of Daredevil. I mean,
there is the question: does Wolverine breathing exercises hold more entertainment value than the entire season of Daredevil Born Again? And how close is that?
Possible. It is very possible.
It could be. I mean, it's a neck and neck. It's a thing that it could be.
It gets points just because Wolverine's wearing his costume. I mean, Daredevil never did. Well, okay, he did for a few minutes, but
yeah.
So well, folks, Travis, let the people know where they can find you on the internets.
I am at withtravis.com. I'm also on YouTube at Build with Travis, which is more Lego centric, and you can find me on Facebook at With Travis.
All right, and Tim, why don't you tell the people who we are and how they can find us?
I'm Tim. This is Dan. We are the Nerd Champs. If you don't know anything about our channel, that's okay. A lot of people don't, as you can tell by our follower count. But the one thing that we would like to say is that we have enjoyed our time on this platform, and we really enjoy everything that we have coming out. Dan just released a review of the Minecraft movie. Check that out. We just released a couple of things this week, and we've got some more stuff coming. So stick with us. You're really going to find that we've got good stuff if you like nerd talk. So
I think we need to do it. We need to make sure we give an advertisement here. Fiddle Faddle wants to sponsor you guys. Fiddle Faddle, please reach out. The Nerd Champs will
We are-
your sponsorship.
We are 1000% on board. All you have to, I don't even want paid. Okay. I don't even want paid.
You can
I just
send
want,
a few boxes.
I just want a skid of Fiddle Faddle and I'll be a happy camper.
Hey, Fiddle Faddle, if you're not out there, like in a pinch, if you're out there, we'll take Dollar Tree. Dollar
That's
Tree.
right.
If you want to send us the Fiddle Faddle, we will make sure that you are everyone's Fiddle Faddle connection.
That's
So,
right.
Just let us know.
Fiddle the
Until
Faddle.
next time. Hey, Tim. OH.
IO.